Hey again, it's Tom with the Middle Aged Musician. I am on the road as I tend to do these types of podcasts. I am actually driving back home after a weekend out playing and had a decent weekend. Crowds were a little lighter this week. I want to give you some updates. As you can tell, I'm sniffling, got a little bit of a sinus issue, and that's from all the weather. I've been outside. A lot of the stuff I do is outdoors type programs, campgrounds and things like that set up and sort of busking. But I first off, it's been a while since I've done a podcast, and that some of that was on purpose. I've just been overwhelmed at my day job, which is good because that means that I still have a day job and am still drawing an income. But also did a trip. My family and I took a trip, and we spent about 5,000 miles in our car. Did some camping and did some hiking, did some sightseeing. We were as far south as the Mexican border in El Paso. Went out the Grand Canyon, just hit a few other places, and discovered some places that I really didn't know existed. And I mean, I knew they existed, I just had never been. So saw a lot of things that I hadn't seen before. It was really neat, and took some notes on maybe some areas that we will likely go back to in the months or years ahead. Also gearing up for a busy tourist season up in the Smoky Mountains. I currently have 2 standing gigs and may add one more to that, in addition to whatever else I can pick up in the process. But it's been kind of a cool evolution to see how this is happening now. We're working on some new items with this particular campground on how campers who come and go can stay connected, and maybe even when they're not here, be dialed into what we're doing there. And you know, it's always fun for me when I go someplace. I like to follow up thereafter. So for instance, I was in Amarillo, Texas, and then after the tornadoes went through, it turned out that I had stayed in the state park where the tornadoes had hit, and so I now keep up with that stuff. But anyhow, really gearing up for this year. Looks like it's going to be a busy one. I am actually maneuvering my way through some traffic as we speak, and seeing lots of tags from like Mississippi, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Indiana. So lots of folks still traveling, and quite frankly, I'm not sure they ever stopped traveling, at least here in the national park. The other thing I want to talk today about is backing tracks and click tracks, and whether or not it's cool to use or people are using them. I put this out on a social media board, and actually got quite a bit of traction from the people that were responding to it. Opinions were, for the most part, very civil and very cordial about it, and people understood why I was asking the question. But had one person that was like, absolutely not. There's a special place in hell for anyone who uses them. They're taking gigs away from live musicians, and I think the guy missed the point of what I was asking. I'm not asking about karaoke people that go out with tracks and set up and sing to pre-recorded music, but more so people that, like myself, I don't use any type of backing tracks, music, clicks, or anything at this point in time. I don't run IEMs, so I don't really have the capacity to do it. I could do it without IEMs because I have years ago in conferences where I played, but what I was really kind of get at was, people like myself who go out with just their voice and their guitar, but occasionally it's nice to have maybe a kick drum or a bass guitar or something lightly in the background. I'm also not talking about like these overblown orchestrations where you're playing along and all of a sudden you hear this swooping orchestra that comes in. To me, that's just kind of not the beauty of live music. However, there are artists, and I have watched them online, I've seen a few out and about, that and I'm talking not loopers, of course. Loopers, in my opinion, are making live music on the fly. It's none of it's pre-done. But people who maybe have a track either running with them or running in their ear that has some other, maybe a light harmonica or a light banjo or steel guitar or something like that. And personally, as long as it's not overpowering, as long as it doesn't overtake the artist and the voice, and if they're playing an instrument, then I enjoy it. I specifically remember I was in downtown at a city, and this guy was set up. He was from, I think, Peru, and he had his electric guitar, and he was running a system, and he had tracks, but he wasn't a singer. He was all instrumental, and he was doing all instrumentals with bass and drum track behind him, maybe acoustic on that. But it was cool, and people were coming around. They were buying his stuff, throwing a penny here and there in his jar, and it sounded good. It was like going to a outdoor show. This guy was, in my opinion, he wasn't taking anything from anyone. He was literally just set up on the sidewalk in the downtown street, and I think he may have, I don't remember if he had a battery pack running or if he had a generator, but I'm sure he probably had electric. I mean, obviously he had electric, but I'm guessing that as I recall, maybe he was running an electric cord, extension cord or something. But the point is he was making great music, and I talked to him for a little bit when he took a break and just said, hey, what's your story? And he's like, yeah, I travel around, and I'm originally from Peru, and I made this CD, and so this is kind of how I fund my adventures. So it started me thinking. I use, I'm an Apple head as far as a lot of my gear, electronic gear, MacBook and iPhone, etc. How easy it is these days with Pro Tools or whatever other DAW that you want to use to create a very full sound that is classy, that is cool, and that supports, but doesn't sound as if somebody just flipped on a radio and you're basically singing along, which to me is not really artistry. That's pretty much anyone. So playing with that a little bit. There are a couple of songs. I don't think I'll do it on everything because first off, it's very labor intensive to do. Secondly, engineering that to me is just a little more than I want to fool with. I don't necessarily want to invest in IEMs or other larger systems. I really would just like to have something that maybe on a song or two have that ability to add some percussion and some depth. Supposedly is what the dynamic I'm looking for on this. And then the other thing is I appreciate those kind of items, like the loopers and what they do. I've never really experimented with it as to whether or not I would be coordinated enough to click on, click off to set the right rhythm, the right tempo. And with the DAWs or with your PreSonuses, sorry for the yawn, it's been an early morning. With the PreSonuses and other computer programs, the tempo is constant. So once the kick drum is set or once the click track is rolling and you quantize everything into that, and I'm a live guy. I've played with live musicians the majority of my life. But I also realize that personally, I'm not a drummer. So my timing is it's crap. It's like Willie Nelson on lots of alcohol and marijuana. So I know my weakness on that, and I play away from my weaknesses, play to my strengths. My strengths is I can get in the pocket, but I need someone or something else to set that pocket and keep everything constant overall. So I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Feel free to send me a message through the podcast items, and appreciate the opportunity to get some feedback on that. So that'll be pretty much it today. I am just wanted to give a quick update, brief update. I'm back on the road. I've not stopped with one gig. I've had one gig that's ran. I took 2 weeks off during our little trip and didn't really do anything, but which was nice in one way, but it also left me wanting to come back and do something too. So I think I talked about that on the other podcast, that occasionally you need to take some time off and get yourself reset and recalibrated. Well, thanks a lot for listening. Appreciate those who are subscribing and sharing and liking the podcast and giving the ratings and all those kind of things. Not growing at the rate that some are, but that's okay. That's never the intent to become like a freestanding item. Just wanted to share some of my own personal thoughts and experiences, and hopefully you can benefit from that. And who knows what'll happen down the road. Okay, be safe, enjoy yourself. Don't live your life in anticipation of what others say or do or think. Go out and enjoy. Do what you've been gifted to do and enjoy doing. Life is much sweeter when you do that. Okay, talk to you soon.